the actual utility what we generally use to do these all operations like archival, copy and restore, is called as the utility name arc main. Okay, so this is the actual utility what we use in Teradata to do all the three operations at all the three levels: the table level, database level, partition level. Okay. And these are the third-party utilities. These two, okay, Net Wallet and Net Backup, or the third-party GUI utilities where we can do the graphical interface activities, the drag and drops, right click and configure the component, scheduling the archival process, okay, and pointing the archival device, the tape device or the network device, the removable hardware disk. Everything we can do through the GUI utilities with the GUI actions. And these are the command line execution of the arcmain utilities what we generally see at the prompt, either at mainframes or in case of network attached machines, the command line. So we're going to see some of the sample scripts here. So this is the first script where the logon, as common as all other utilities, logon, the host name slash username slash password, comma password. It will establish a session for the arcmain utility. And then the command is archive. Archive the data of the tables within parentheses, the table for which you want to archive the data. Retail.area. So for example, we have taken a table called area in retail to archive the data. And then after the archival, release the lock, because during the archival it will attain the archival utility locks on the objects. So after taking the archival, it has to release the lock so that the object can be reused by the users. Otherwise it will be under locks of the host utility locks. And then this is the file path where the archival should be taken into. Here, as it is a network attached machine, I have given a path here, the local path. And here you see there is no archival file. So if I execute the script, it will be given the output file, the arc file, also in the same path, the home directory from which we are executing the script. Then the logout. Okay, so this is the simple script to archive a table level data. Okay, the logon statement, archive data is the command, tables, and retail.area is the table for which you want to take the archival. Release the lock after doing the archival, and this is the file path where the archival data to be present.
Manohar, what exactly the release? Because do we have a lock on that one while doing the archive?
Yes. During the archival,
okay, right lock.
It will obtain the archival lock.
Okay. Which is comparable to which one? Like similar to which lock?
The right lock. Similar to the right lock. Yeah. No one can access the object. Read, right? No one can access.
You can read, right?
No, you cannot access. No. During the archival process, you cannot access this table. Yeah. So that's where we have to release the lock, then only the users can start using this table. Otherwise they cannot use this table during archival process. Okay, there is one more new feature came called as online backups. Okay, so there they can do access lock on the table which is undergoing the archival process. That is a new feature coming up, but generally on the table on which the archival job is currently running, you cannot access this table.
the physical path of the file where the actual data will be archived?
Yes, this is the
File.
physical path. I have given the relative path, so it is the current path from which I am going to execute. But if you want, you can give the complete path c:/. This is similar to not giving any path here. So if I don't give, it will take the current directory from which I am going to execute the script. Let us keep it. Before going, okay, it will come to this. Okay, so let us execute this. I open to. So I have saved it, the complete path. The log on, the archive data tables, the table to be archived, and the release log, the file name to which the archive data to be present. Okay, so this is the simple script which I am going to execute now. At the command prompt, let me come to my current directory where my scripts are written. c:/arc. Okay, so here I have all my scripts here. Right? So let me execute. So what is the command to be executed? Arc main. Okay, it can be executed interactively or as a batch mode. Interactively means if you press enter here, it will invoke the utility and it will wait for your commands. Okay, here you can give the logon command. Otherwise, what do we do? You can execute at the batch mode. Arc main, script name is arc1.text. The output to be present as a log like this, and the errors also to be logged into the same file. See, in the interactive mode also it started taking on log. So this is the actual log. Okay, so I have given the complete path of this. It is not taking the slashes. Not expected. Let's try double quotes and see, otherwise no quotes. No, it's not taking. Okay, so it is not taking the complete path here. Maybe some process. That's where you put only the file name so that it will defaultly take the current directory and give the archival file. Okay, let me remove all the old logs.
Manogar, I think the file name you mentioned is wrong. ARC1 you mentioned as ARCH1.
Where? Here?
File equal to, yeah.
This is the data file.
Okay.
This is the script file. So in the script ARC1, I want to create the archival data file with ARCH1. So let me run again and see. See what are files are generated here? The normal log file. So you log completely. The arcmain utility got invoked. The logon statement, it has defaultly given 3 sessions. Then the table to be archived, archiving the database retail with table area. So this is the size and these are the number of rows archived, 25 rows, and release the lock, dump completed, that means archival completed. So this is the access we should have on the tables to do this archival. This access is called dump access. So as a DBC we have the dump access on this table, that's where we are able to archive it. Statement completed, and this is the severity 0, that means success. Okay, so this is the restart log which it will internally maintain. Okay, this is the extension RLG. This is called as restore log, which internally we maintain with the arcmain, and it is used in case of restart. In case something happened and if it is failed, and if you restart the script, it will restart from the last failed point onwards. How we able to know? Because of this restart log which internally it maintains during the archival process. So we cannot understand this, but it is for internal purpose of Teradata arcmain utility, get to understand from which it has to restart the archival process in case of failure. Okay, and this is the actual archival data file which is generated as a result of the arc script, arcmain script. Okay, you cannot understand this data also as well. Even we open. So what we can do with this data? In case our table got corrupted, we can use this data file to restore it back. Okay. So let us see actual table from which we have taken the archive. So what table we have archived? Detail.area. So let's see how many rows. 25 rows. So this is the data we have archived the arcmain, right? Detail.area, and it has given us a data file on so and so date and so and so time. Now I am doing some transactions on this area table. What transactions we do? For example, on the 9th record, I am changing this row n underscore region key as some 200. Okay. For the nation key 9, I am updating region key as 200. So remember the spellings, nation key and region key. So after archival, I am doing some transactions on this area table. Update detail.area set region key equal to 200, where nation key equal to 9. N underscore. Okay. N underscore region key, N underscore nation key. N underscore region underscore. Okay, no underscore. Okay. Okay, so I tried to update the data. So now see the data for the ninth record. The n region key is updated to 200. Okay, so like that I did some transactions on this table and later I found all these transactions are wrong, so I have to restore this data back. Okay, when I restore this data, what would be the value here? I expect what was the earlier value before I update it to 200? Okay, anyone remember what was the value before I updated it to 200?
I think it was 2.
Yeah, I also hope it is 2. Okay,
True.
2, right? Okay, so I have updated it to 200. Just a moment, please. Sorry, back. Okay, so I did some transactions on this and now I wanted my data back how it was before I have taken the archival, okay, during when I took the archive. So what I do, you able to hear me, right? Okay, yeah, you see. Okay, so how we restore, this is the command what we use, and this is the only difference. In the archival we did archive data tables, and here while restoring we'll give restore data tables and give the same file name in which you have taken the archival, arch1. Okay, so I'm just restoring by executing the script so that it has to give me the data back, okay, at the time when I taken the archival. So how do we execute this? Same way, our main is the utility and the script is restore1, where I have given the command restore from the archival data file. See, the restore log and the restore log RLG, that means rerun log. So let us understand this log. The logon completed, taken the sessions. See how many rows are restored? Complete 25 rows are restored from the archival backups. Now let's see the data. Okay, so it was 200 after my update, and if I restore it, what should be the value for the ninth record? It's 2, because I have got my all the transaction rollback and I got the table status how it was when I took the backup, the archival. Like that we can use restore to get the data back into the same object from which you have taken the archival. Okay. So this is the restore. Now what is the third operation? What we can do? We have taken the archive, we have restore, and then yeah. Any question?
No, I have a question. Does it archive the data and the DDL both?
No, it won't archive the DDL. It only archives the data.
Only data, huh?
Yeah. So that's where for restore the object should already exist, and it is expected you are restoring the data to the same object from which you have taken the archival.
Okay.
And what is the next operation with the arc main? We have taken the archive, we have restored it, and what is the next operation? The copy. Remember, We have copy option. What is copy? Copy is to copy the whole object into different machine or different database with the same data. Okay. So see the copy. So here also the command is different. The command is copy data tables, and we have to give the destination, and we have to give from which you want to take the DDL. Because DDL is not stored in the archival data file, we have to give from where it has to copy the DDL first, and then use the data file which was taken as archival data. Okay, so first let's see retail area. We have seen the data, there are 25 records, and this financial area 4, does it exist now? Select star from financial dot area 4. There is no such object exists, but now I wanted to copy the retail dot area to financial dot area 4. So how I had written the script, the only change is copy command, and while we are copying we have to give the source DDL from which it has to create in the destination object. Release lock is common. And then the file path, the archival data file path, which has to be restored or which has to be copied into the new object. Okay, so what copy has to do? It has to take the source object, create the destination object, and restore the data from arc1, because the arc1 is the data file which was taken from the archival script. So let us execute and see. Arc main is the same command, then copy 1 dot text, that is script name, right? Copy 1 dot text, then copy 1 underscore log dot text, the log. Okay, why we are using this and 1? 2 is for errors and to spool into the same log file, okay, which we are using for the normal log. Okay, we have to specify and 1 so that it will use the same log file to spool the errors also, right? And now see the log for copy data table. See, it has copied all 25 rows into the area 4 table, which is created the same structure of the retail area. Now let us see the data. Select star from financial area 4. So it got whole data from the archive. So this is how we can move the data from one server to other server, one database to other database, with the help of archival and restore. In case,
Manohar, for copy, first we need to do archive and then we need to copy.
Yes, because we have to have the data file in the script, right? How we get this data file?
Okay, but with the copy script it will not archive and it will restore into the another table. It don't do, right? The
No.
file we given arc1 is created by archival
Yes.
command, right?
Yes. First you have to do the archival, then only you can do the copy or restore.
So we need to do two operations.
Yes. Yes. See, in real time what happens? These arc scripts are scheduled on a frequency. For example, if the daily updated table is there, then on daily basis you may take archival at the end of the load. Yeah. If it is a weekly load table is there, then weekly you will have the archival backups. And when you restore it, do you schedule the restore also or copy?
No.
Okay, this ad hoc basis, on the request basis. If any user or any developer wants us to restore, Then we use this scheduled archival data file which was latest, and then we write a restore script and restore data back to the tables. Okay, so this archival is a scheduled one. It runs on every frequency by which you schedule it. But this restore or copy are as per the request basis by the users or developers whenever they wanted the table status back after their wrong transactions. Okay, then we will write the scripts. So that means the archival was already taken and we have the archival data files in place, and we are writing the restore script to use the archival which was already taken as per the schedule. Okay, so restore means restoring the data to the same object from which it has taken as archival. Copy means into the different object. The object may not be exist. Okay, where we give the source path, the source object from where it has to create the object, and then we give the archival data file from which it has to copy the data. Both the operation of the copy can do, creating the object and restoring the data. Both of, the archive, restoring the data, copying the data into the object. Both the operations can be done by the copy utility, and restore expects the object should already exist. That is the main difference between copy and restore. The restore expects that the object to be pre-exist. The copy, it won't expect the object to be exist. It can create the object. Clear?
Manoj? So since the data is keep on changing at every all the time, so how do we manage those, like this kind of a retrieval, like archive and restore?
Let me get to how to manage means the data of tables keep on changing. Okay.
Yeah. So is this like a good solution, like archive then a restore, because the data is keep on changing? Do we archive on every transaction or what?
No. See, this is to have a disaster recovery setup, right? So as a DBA, so what are these uses? When we use this, whenever these exceptional things happen, if everything is going smooth, we are not going to use this. When we are going to restore it, whenever these exceptions would happen, loss of amps in a no fallback tables, the loss of multiple virtual disks or amps in the same cluster, right? What happens if 2 amps down in a cluster, even if the table is fallback protected? Can I access the table?
No.
Right? If 2 amps are down in the cluster, even the table is fallback protected, can I access the table? No.
Yeah,
Right?
That's a hard to recall.
Okay. Otherwise, see this accidentally dropped tables and views or macros by users. Could it happen anywhere? I mean, anytime?
Yeah.
Okay. It could happen very less, but there is a possibility. Right. So in this case, how we are getting the data back? Okay, somebody has dropped the table or miscellaneous user errors. It means on the table I have done some mistransactions. Then I wanted the data back how it was yesterday. How you can get it back? Either you may have the permanent journal stored so that you can recovery the table from the permanent journals, or if you don't have the permanent journal, what is the solution? If you have already taken the archival, then you have the data back. I mean, you have the data in place so that you can restore it back how it was yesterday. Right? So it is not a regular operation what we generally do. When we do it, whenever this type of exceptional things happen, okay, you should have some control as a DBA on the application. If somebody has dropped the table and as a DBA if cannot restore it, then what is your role? What we are doing there, monitoring all this data now. Okay, so this is acceptable that user may drop it accidentally, but if you are not able to restore it, then our role is not fulfilled there, right?
Okay.
So that's where we have to have a regular archival taken every schedule basis, and then if something exceptional happens like these, then as a DBA your role come into picture and they will request you, we want this table as per the date so and so. Then you will go to that scheduled archival, you see the logs on so and so date, what was the archival file name, and you use that archival file name in your restore script or copy script, so that you will get the data back at that particular point of time. Clear? When do we use this?
Okay.
Yeah, the archival
Because
is
the data may not be current by when we taking a restore, right?
the data may not be
Current data,
trunk data.
like it may not be updated latest data.
Yeah, it may not be latest data. Yes, because
Okay.
we have taken data yesterday and today morning he has done some two transactions. Okay, and after the two proper transactions he has done some three failure transactions, for example. Okay, and after taking these three failure transactions he wanted his table back how it was till yesterday, so that I can do all my operations for today. Okay, so you give the status how it was yesterday by the end of the day. So the proper transactions also his responsibility to take care of it.
Okay.
Okay, in case if permanent journal is there, at least you can roll back the three failure transactions or the missed transactions, then you can have the status back how it was before three transactions. Okay, in case of permanent journal it is different. If the permanent journal is not there, we are dependent only on archival, then yes, you may miss some of the active transactions which were done after the archival process. It is better than losing the whole data. That is the whole point here. You may miss some transactions. Yes, clear?
Thank you.
Okay. So we have seen RLG, right? Restart log. So this restart log is the first output which is generated by any of the archival script or copy script or the restore script. So here you see a simple script here. The log on archive data at the database level. Okay, we didn't see at the database level, right? So I'll just show the scripts how it works at database level. Archival DB. Just you miss the table name here, it will take backup of the whole database level. It will take the database level archival, and similarly you can restore it. Restore DB. Just mention the restore command here and the archival file path. It will restore the whole database. You want to copy the database, just mention the database path from which it has to copy. So it will create all the objects of the retail into the samples, and then restore the whole database from the archival file. So this is at the database levels. So here also you can see the sample script where it is taking archival from the database level. So abort is another command what you can give to mention abort the sessions after the completion. So rest of the commands what we generally used, right? Archive, release log, file path, and log off. When you execute the script, it will start the restart log by having all the list of tables what it is going to archive in the alphabetical order of the object names. And then it will start taking data also into the data files which we have mentioned here. Okay. If the job is interrupted for some reason, Arc uses this restart log to start the archival process from the failure table onwards. It's not going to do the whole archival again. It will start from the failure point onwards because of this restart log, which is maintained when we execute any archival script. And these are some possible commands what we can use in the archival scripts. Log on, log off, archive, and analyze. The analyze is used before we restore it actually. Okay, we have taken the archival of different tables into different files. If you want to see which file is related to what, you can use the analyze command, which reads an archival to display information about its content. What tables, what date, what time. Get to see and confirm by what date we have taken this archival. You can use a command called analyze. And then we have seen the restore and copy. And there is one more command called build, which builds the indexes and the fallback data after archival of actual data tables. Okay. So we have restored all the table, but the archival doesn't restore the fallback data or the indexes. We have to build it separately with the command called build. Okay, which start building the indexes and the fallback data of the tables. Releaselog, which releases host utility logs on the database or table which were applied during the archival or restore process. Delete database, you can use to delete the whole database. You can use checkpoints to mark a journal for later archive or recovery activities. Okay. Defaultly it will take checkpoints for restart logs, but if you want to mention any particular checkpoint timings or checkpoint data size, you can mention the checkpoints explicitly. Or you can do the rollbacks that recovers a database and tables to a state that existed before some change. It is generally used in case of the permanent journal recoveries. Similarly, roll forward recovers a database or table to a state that exists after some changes. If we have before images and the after images stored on the table as a permanent journal, you can use this rollback and roll forward commands to get the status back even after some changes or before some changes. So these are the permanent journal recovery commands which we use with the Arc main utility. Okay. If you want to delete the journals, you can delete the journals. If you want to revalidate all the tables which are restored, you can use revalidate references, which revalidate all the differential integrities of the tables after you restore the data. Okay, for example, I have the primary key and foreign key relationship between EMP table and DEPT table. Okay. During the restore, for example, employee table is restored first and then the department table. Generally what should happen? The department table, the master table should be restored first and then only the child table should be restored. But here, while restoring, the employee data has restored first and the department data restored later. Then how we can assure that data is obeying the differential integrity between the master and child table? You can execute a revalidate reference command which would give you a list of all the violations, differential violations, and then you can identify what we can do with this data. Do we need to restore it again, or do you need to delete some data from the child table or transaction table so that it will obey the differential integrities? Okay, so these are some possible commands what you can use with the Arc main utility in terms of archival the data, copy the data, restore the data, or recovery the data. Recovery means recovering the data from the permanent journal. The roll forward, roll back, delete journal, all these things are the recovery commands of Arc main. So this is the actual syntax of archive. Sorry, archive the data. Okay. Either you can use normal data tables or the dictionary tables. Dictionary means DBC. Okay, you can archive the dictionary tables also. Archive data or dictionary tables and the actual database name. From the database, if you want to exclude some databases tables, you can mention exclude command and the table names with a comma separator. Or if you want to archive all the data, you can use the all keyword. And if you want to exclude some of the databases but you want to include all the databases in the DBC, you can use exclude the database name separated by commas, or it will archive all the databases. And the clusters, the size of the clusters, and release lock, indexes. If you want to archive along with the indexes, you can do that. And online, which is the Teradata 12 feature, which can allow you to access the data with the access log even during the archival process. And it will keep the logging. It will keep logging information, whatever transactions it is undergoing during the archival process, so that it can restore it back after the archival. And no empty databases. Empty databases we are not going to archive. So we can mention non-empty databases only to be archived or restored. And finally, the file name to which we want our archival data file to be present. Okay, so it is not giving the entire path, it is an absolute path. That means it will take from the current directory onward from which the script is being executed. Finally, terminate the statement with semicolon, so that it will take all the options what we generally give and it starts. And here is one more example. Log on, archive data tables, the database PD, abort it after the archival, release the lock after the archival, and this is the file path to take the archive. And there is one more example with some more options. Log on, archive data tables, database level, and here we would like to exclude two tables from the archival. So to mention these two tables to be excluded, I just use exclude keyword and the tables within parentheses, the table name which are to be excluded from archival process. Abort them, release log, file. These commands are same. So what I did, I have excluded these two tables from taking the archival from the database PD. So if I execute the arcmain command, this is the log. It says these two tables are excluded, which are highlighted in red. Department summary. It has listed all the tables which are going to be archived. So first table is department. Yes, it is archiving the department, 60 rows. And when it is coming to department summary, where we have mentioned it to exclude, it has excluded it from the archival. And rest all tables are archived. And again, when it comes to the phone summary, it is excluded. And then the rest of the tables are archived. And finally, release the log and dump. That means archive completed. And how do we do at partition level? This is the command what we use to do partition level archive. Archive data tables and log on statement. These two are common. Log on and archive data tables and the table name within parentheses. And if you want to do this table archival at a partition level, because every day. Okay, the table is partitioned by date, for example, with an interval of 1 month, for example. So every month we have to take backup at the end of the month for the last month's information. Okay, so let us suppose the table should have 12 months of data at any point of time. Anytime it should have 12 months of data. So today is December 31st, for example, and when I am going to the next month, January 1st, the last year's January data should be archived. Okay, so that I will have data from last year February to this year January. So at any particular point of time, I should have 12 months of data. Okay, it is called rollover archivals. It means every month the oldest data of month we archive it and we'll start loading the new month data, so that we can ensure at any particular point of time this table should have 12 months of data. Okay, so how we do the partition level data archival? Just mention the partition where, with an exclamatory mark, the partitioned column between the dates. See, 2006 112, 2006 331. So how many months of data we are archiving here? By seeing the dates, 1 quarter, 3 months. The 3 months of data we are archiving from the table which is partitioned based on the sales date. So sales date is the partition column on the sales PPI. So based on this particular column we are archiving 3 months of data, and rest everything is same about release logs. So while we are executing this script, it shows you, okay, what are the partitions being logged. So that is how we do a partition level archive. Just to mention the partition where within parentheses the partition command and the data of the range you want to archive. And this is the analyze statement, okay, which we use to analyze the archival. Okay, if you use this analyze command, analyze the database and display long file equal to arc1.pd. Display long will give you the long listing of the descriptions. Analyze is the command, pd is the database name, and file is file equal to the file name in which the archival was taken. So it will give you at what time, what date, what all tables were archived and what is the version of it. See, it is showing the database and the table names which were taken archival into this data arc1.pd. Okay, when you are restoring, if you are not sure if these tables are included in this archival file or not, what we do? We do analyze of this particular archival file so that we will understand whether these particular tables which we want to restore are included in this archival data file or not before we actually do this restore operation. That is the analyze command. And restore, okay, which we have seen how to restore the data, okay, which is used in case of dropped database or users drop tables, views, macros. If anyone has dropped accidentally the objects, then what we do? We use the restore operation. In case of the normal table or data dictionary tables, you can do the restore operation where restore expects the object to be pre-exist, and you can do the copy operation where the copy will create the objects and then it loads the data. And these are the possible commands. All the commands we have seen: log on, log off, analyze, restore, copy, build, release log, delete database, reevaluate, reference. The same commands which used with the restore process. So these are some restore examples. Okay, instead of the command archive here, we use restore. Okay, if you want to restore all the data, you can use all, or you can mention the database specifically what you want to restore. Okay. And if you want to restore for any particular AMP, you can mention the AMP number so that only that particular AMP can also be restored. Okay. Rest of all the commands we have seen. If you want to mention the AMP number so that only that particular AMP is restored, you can mention the AMP number in the restore options so that it will restore the only AMP for this data tables.
Manoj?
Yeah.
I have a question. If we take a like archive on one version, can we restore into a different version? It should be same version of the Teradata.
Okay, version of Teradata. Yeah, version of Teradata
Yeah.
you can use. Yep. So we have taken
Let's say we
archival in 12,
we
you
take
can
it
restore it
archive.
13.
So if we archive on 12, then can we restore into 13?
Yes.
So we can use it as a to migrate the data also.
Yes.
Then,
Yes. Okay. So we used to use this arc main only to migrate the data, but now there is one more tool coming up called data mover in Teradata, okay, which is also again XML based command prompt script, okay, which we write so that it will move the data from one server to other server. So there is one more utility coming up, okay, from Teradata 13 onwards. But yes, from up to Teradata 12, we used to use this arc main utility to copy and restore the data from different versions of data when we upgrade the servers.
Manohar, can we do the same thing like for higher version to lower version? In general, we use it to the compatibilities with lower version to higher version, right?
Yeah.
But in the same way, can we do that higher? Let us say if something happened, then they have to go back to lower version.
Yeah, generally we can do that. I mean, from higher to lower version also we can do that in the arc main utility, because the arc main, the purpose is to move the servers, so the servers could be of different versions, so it should have the compatibility. Yes, it is only for data only, right?
And also the AMP1, how can we detect what data was stored in the AMP1?
We don't detect.
Queries, right?
For example, in performance monitor you have observed one AMP is down and it gives the AMP number. Then if you want to restore the data of that particular AMP, we no need to see what data this AMP1 stores, but you saw AMP1 is down and you want to get the AMP1's data restored back.
Okay, with the log we can see that.
Yeah, that's it. But we don't know, I mean, what rows of this table are stored in AMP1. That is not necessary for us.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is restore at the table level. This is the log information before it restores. And similarly the partition restore, where you can mention the partition with a prefix of exclamatory command. So this is mandatory, this is syntax. The partition where exclamatory and then the partition columns and then the range of the partition columns which you want to restore. See the example. Log on, restore data tables. This is the table name. Up to here it is common, and you want to mention the partitions. You can mention either all partitions or the exclamatory, the partition command equal to the range, which you have seen earlier. In a similar way, you can restore or the archival, the partitions. And then the copy. The copy command, you can use all these commands. No fallback, no journal, or with journal, on the journal table path, and no build. Okay, when you say no build, that means it will build only the data, but it won't build the secondary indexes or the fallback data. Okay, if you mention the no fallback during the copy, then you have to execute a build command mandatorily. If you copy along with the indexes and fallback, it's fine. But if you copy by mentioning the no fallback, you have to build the data again so that it will rebuild all the indexes and the fallback information of the table. This is the example. Log on, copy data tables from, this is source, about release log. So this is what we have seen to execute the copy script. And while copying, if you want to mention no fallback data to be built, you can use the no fallback option. Then replace the creator, which we generally don't use replace creator, but you can mention no fallback so that the restore will happen fast, the copy will happen fast, and then you will use the build option, which would rebuild the fallback data and the indexes. So no fallback data tables. After copy, you have to use the build database so that the fallback data tables will be built. And finally, the release log statement. Why we use this release log? Just to release the logs which are held during the archival process or restore process. The utility level logs will be attained on the objects, so you have to restore. When you have to release those logs before come to the normal status. Otherwise, the users cannot access them once they are locked by the utility level logs. So what we need to do? We have to submit release log statement. Yeah. So in case if something happened and your table is locked, then what we generally do? You can write a script to restore it and to release the log alone. How do we release log? This is the script. Log on statement is common, and then release lock, the database which was locked, then overwrite it, then log off. So this is the simple script to unlock the database or table or partition which was locked during the archival process, but it is not released by the archiver. So this is the simple script with the release lock command, which we use to release a particular database or table which was locked but not released after the archival process. Okay. And revalidate reference. As we already mentioned, revalidate reference will give you the list of the validated referential integrities and invalid referential integrities. Just use this command, revalidate references for the database. It will revalidate after the restore and will give you the list of all the validated references. It will give you errors if it found. One error found and logged. One error found and logged. Then you can understand, okay, this was not properly restored. That means the master table is not populated first and then the child is populated first. You can revalidate the references and restore it back as per requirement. And while doing the archivals, it will use these particular database dictionary tables to identify the archival is going on, the restore is going on, the events, whatever archival events are going on during the process, these data dictionary tables are populated. These tables provide information about archive and recovery activities that did not affect all the AMPs. If we do a partial AMP configuration, all those events are logged into these data dictionary tables. You can use these tables and see what all events are happened in terms of the archival and restore processes on the object. Any questions? Yeah, which we have seen practically, and these are the examples I have mentioned here, so you can practice few of them. And I will give the scripts in the shared folder where you can download and practice this. Yeah, good. So they will continue for our development process. Okay, I will just log off. I will come back. Please stay online. Let me see if Kapil is already arrived. He's not there.